The moment Sinbad and his crew left the calm harbor, the sea unleashed its fury. Towering waves crashed over the deck, tossing men like ragdolls, while lightning split the sky above in blinding flashes. Thunder roared as if the heavens themselves sought to swallow the ship whole. But the storm was only the beginning. From the depths rose creatures larger than ships, with eyes like molten gold and tentacles that could crush masts in an instant. Gigantic shadows moved beneath the waves, and sailors clung to life, praying to gods they had never seen. Even as terror threatened to overwhelm them, Sinbad's courage burned brighter than the lightning. Every heartbeat was a battle, every breath a victory. And when the monstrous guardians of the sea struck, the crew would discover that survival demanded not only strength, but cunning, wit, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship. Beyond the storm, beyond the monsters, beyond illusions that could shatter the mind, lay a treasure unlike any other: golden riches, ancient secrets, and the wisdom of the world itself. But to claim it, Sinbad and his men must endure the impossible. Stay with us, and let this adventure be yours too. Sail with Sinbad through peril, wonder, and the unknown, for at the end of every journey waits a reward worth every risk. At dawn, when the lamps of Baghdad flickered out one by one, Sinbad believed he had finally silenced the restlessness in his soul. His gardens overflowed with fruit, his halls with silks and spices, and his guests never tired of hearing his adventures. He had sworn to himself that the sea had taken enough years, enough blood, enough of his spirit. He was done. But the sea is never done with men. It returns in dreams, in the whisper of the wind, in the silence between heartbeats. That very morning, a messenger arrived from Caliph Harun al-Rashid. In the marble halls of the palace, the Caliph greeted him with gifts of gold-scripted scrolls, a sapphire vessel, and a seal heavy with authority. Sinbad, the Caliph said, I need a man whom both the waves and the heavens favor. You will carry these gifts to the king of Serendib as my envier. More than treasure, I send with you trust. Sinbad bowed, feeling the spark of old fire within his chest. To sail not for trade but for honor, that was a voyage of destiny. By God's will, he replied, I shall serve. Within 3 days, the ship was ready. The sails were fresh, the ropes tarred and strong, and the crew, a mix of seasoned sailors and untested youths, eyed their captain with reverence. As the vessel slipped from the Tigris into open sea, Baghdad blurred into a haze of minarets and morning sun. Sinbad's chest tightened, not from fear, but from that solemn respect the sea demands. For a week, fortune smiled. By night, the waters glittered like stars trapped beneath the surface. By day, dolphins danced ahead of the prow, guiding them as if heaven itself blessed the voyage. The Caliph's treasures rested in a teak chest, locked and guarded night and day. But on the 8th day, the horizon darkened. The line of light turned to lead, and the seabirds vanished as if their names had been struck from creation. Thunder rumbled far away, not a herald of rain, but of trial. The old helmsman spat into his hand and whispered, The sea is preparing to speak." Sinbad lifted his gaze to the gathering storm. "Hold the course," he commanded, though deep within, he felt the pulse of an ancient truth. The sea's final call always comes at a price. The sea answered with fury. Winds tore across the deck like wild stallions, snapping ropes and flinging sails into the air. The sky cracked open with lightning so fierce it blinded the crew for heartbeats at a time. Waves rose like mountains, black and merciless, lifting the ship only to hurl it down into valleys of foam. Men shouted prayers, curses, and cries for their mothers. One youth clung to the mast until the sea claimed him, dragging him overboard with a scream that vanished in the storm's roar. Another sailor, strong as an ox, tried to steady the rudder, only for a wave to slam the wood so hard it broke his arm. Sinbad stood at the prow, drenched and unyielding. His voice cut through the chaos. "Hold fast! The sea tests us, but it will not take us." Yet even he felt the weight of doom pressing closer. The chest of the Caliph's gifts, though bound with iron, slid across the deck like a living thing, threatening to smash the ship's side apart. With 3 men, Sinbad heaved it back into place, tying it with every rope they had left. His hands bled, but he would not let his honor, or the Caliph's trust, sink beneath the waves. Hours passed. The storm did not relent. It seemed eternal, a trial carved by fate itself. The stars vanished, the moon was gone, and in the endless dark, the crew lost all sense of direction. Finally, near dawn, a monstrous wave rose higher than any before. The sailors screamed. Some fell to their knees in prayer. Sinbad gritted his teeth and braced for the blow. The wave struck with the force of 100 cannons. The ship cracked, splintering like a toy. Men were cast into the sea, swallowed by the boiling black. Sinbad clung to a broken plank, his chest burning, his ears full of the sea's roar. The last thing he saw before darkness claimed him was the chest of the Caliph's gifts slipping beneath the waves, vanishing into the depths. Then, silence. When Sinbad opened his eyes, the world was still swaying. Salt burned his lips, and every breath felt like fire in his lungs. He was alive, but barely. Around him stretched a desolate shore, littered with shattered wood and the bodies of those who had not survived the storm. Gulls circled above, shrieking, as if mocking the dead. Sinbad dragged himself onto the sand, coughing seawater, and for a moment, he lay still, listening to the endless roar of waves. But soon, a shadow passed over him. He lifted his gaze, and his heart nearly froze. Towering above the coastline were creatures unlike any he had ever imagined. Giants. Their legs were like tree trunks, their arms thicker than the masts of ships. Their faces were grotesque, with tusk-like teeth jutting from jaws that could swallow a man whole. They moved slowly, each step shaking the ground as though the earth itself feared their presence. Sinbad pressed himself against the rocks, praying they would not notice him. Yet fate, ever cruel, had other plans. One of the giants stooped low, its enormous hand sweeping aside wreckage until its gaze fell upon him. With a grunt that rolled like thunder, it snatched Sinbad from the ground as easily as a child might pluck a seashell. He struggled, striking at the giant's fingers with his fists, but it was useless. The grip was iron. The creature lifted him high, studying him with a single glowing eye, then laughed, a deep, hideous sound that echoed across the island. In the distance, Sinbad saw smoke curling from a vast cave. The giants were carrying the survivors of the wreckage there, dragging, tossing, herding them like livestock. The cave, Sinbad realized with a chill, was no shelter. It was a lair. And inside, something far worse awaited. The cave swallowed them in darkness. Its ceiling arched high above, dripping with stalactites sharp as spears, and the air reeked of smoke, blood, and roasted flesh. Torches stuck into the stone walls burned with an eerie glow, casting monstrous shadows that danced across the cavern. Sinbad, still clutched in the giant's hand, saw what lay within: bones. Piles upon piles of human bones, gnawed clean, scattered across the ground like broken shells on a shore. His stomach turned. This was not a prison. It was a slaughterhouse. The giants tossed the surviving sailors into a pit at the center of the cave. Sinbad fell among them, his body aching from the impact. Around him, men whimpered in terror, their eyes wide as they took in the grisly sight. Then came the chieftain. Taller, broader, more hideous than the rest, this giant bore a crown of bone and a staff carved from a ship's mast. His single eye glowed like molten fire as he surveyed the captives. When he spoke, the sound was a growl that rattled the cavern walls. Feast! Two of the monsters lunged forward, seizing a screaming sailor. With casual cruelty, they carried him toward a roaring fire where iron spits were already turning. The man's cries rose, piercing, then were cut short as the giants began their gruesome meal. Sinbad's fists clenched. Fear weighed heavily on his heart, but he forced himself to remain calm. If he allowed terror to rule him, he would die here, as food. But if he could keep his wits, perhaps there was still a chance. He leaned close to the surviving sailors, whispering urgently, "We must endure tonight. But come dawn, we find a way out of this cursed cave, or none of us will ever see the light again." The giants feasted and laughed, their grotesque banquet echoing into the night. And in the shadows of the pit, Sinbad's mind began to weave a plan. Night dragged on in that cavern of horrors. The giants grew drunk on their gruesome feast, their thunderous laughter rolling like storms across the stone walls. The captives huddled in silence, broken and trembling. But Sinbad's eyes gleamed with determination. He refused to let despair devour him as surely as the giants would. At last, when the monsters lay sprawled in slumber, their snores echoing like the growl of distant volcanoes, Sinbad gathered the survivors close. His voice was low, sharp, urgent. "We cannot wait for mercy. There is none here. If we are to live, we must strike before dawn." The men looked to him, their faces pale in the torchlight. Some shook their heads, paralyzed by terror. But others nodded, clutching at the last spark of courage. Sinbad outlined his desperate scheme. From the fire pit, he dragged long spears of iron that the giants had used for roasting flesh. With rags torn from their own garments, the sailors wrapped the tips, soaking them in oil. Flames licked eagerly at the makeshift torches until they burned white-hot. Sinbad's gaze turned to the slumbering chieftain, the Cyclopean monster with the crown of bone. Its single eye, even in sleep, glowed faintly like an ember. Sinbad's jaw tightened. "That eye is his weakness," he whispered. At his signal, the men crept forward, hearts pounding like drums of war. The cavern was thick with the stench of smoke and sweat, the giant's breath rumbling as if the earth itself slumbered. Step by step, Sinbad approached the towering beast. Then, with a cry torn between fury and desperation, they thrust the burning spears into the giant's eye. The cavern exploded with sound, a roar so terrible it seemed to split the mountains. The blinded monster thrashed in agony, tearing stone from the walls, crushing its own kin beneath its massive limbs. Chaos erupted. Now was their chance. "Run!" Sinbad shouted. The sailors scattered toward the mouth of the cave, while the blinded titan raged, its howls shaking the heavens. The night sky opened above them as Sinbad and the survivors stumbled out of the cavern, their ears still ringing from the Cyclops' monstrous cries. Behind them, the blinded giant staggered in madness, clawing at the air, its howls echoing across the island like thunder over a cursed sea. They did not dare look back. Barefoot and bleeding, they raced across the jagged rocks, guided only by the pale light of the moon. The ground trembled beneath their feet as the other giants awoke to their chieftain's screams. Torches flared in the darkness, and the sound of heavy footsteps shook the earth. The hunt had begun. Sinbad's voice cut through the panic. To the shore. If we linger, we are dead men. The sailors followed, hearts pounding, as monstrous shadows loomed in pursuit. Huge boulders rained down from the cliffs, hurled by furious hands. One struck the sand with such force that it split open like a volcano, sending fire-bright sparks into the night. Another crushed a sailor, his scream swallowed by the surf. But Sinbad pressed on. His eyes found the wreck of a broken ship half buried in the tide. There! Timber, rope, enough to build a raft. Working like madmen, they lashed the fragments together, their fingers raw, their bodies trembling. All the while, the giants roared behind them, their torches a circle of fire closing fast. At last, with one final heave, the men shoved the makeshift raft into the black waters. The tide caught it, pulling them into the sea's cold embrace. Waves rose high, threatening to drag them back to shore, but desperation gave them strength. They paddled with shards of wood, every heartbeat a prayer. On the cliffs above, the blinded giant screamed one last curse, its voice shaking the heavens. The sailors clung to the raft, their souls trembling with fear and relief as the island of horrors shrank into shadow. But the sea was no gentler. Storm winds rose, and the black water heaved with hidden threats. Sinbad's eyes narrowed. The raft pitched and groaned as the sea unleashed its fury. Waves rose like mountains, towering over the trembling men before crashing down with the force of thunder. Salt stung their eyes, their hands blistered from clinging to the wet wood, yet Sinbad's voice kept them steady. Hold fast. Do not let go, or the sea will claim you. Lightning split the sky, painting the ocean silver for a heartbeat. In that blinding flash, they saw it, a colossal shadow writhing beneath the waves. It moved with dreadful grace, coiling through the deep like a serpent older than time itself. A sailor cried out, his words drowned by the roar of the storm. It follows us. By the gods, it follows. The waters around them boiled as the creature surfaced. Its body was longer than 10 ships, scales glistening like molten iron under the lightning. Eyes the size of shields glowed in the darkness, and when it opened its jaws, the sea trembled with the echo of its roar. The serpent struck. With a sweep of its tail, it shattered part of the raft, sending 2 men screaming into the black water. Their cries vanished in an instant as the beast dragged them below, leaving only a swirl of crimson foam. Sinbad stood firm, gripping a broken oar like a spear. His heart thundered, but his spirit did not yield. If the sea itself rises against us, then we will rise against it. Summoning every ounce of courage, he plunged the oar into the serpent's eye as it lunged for the raft. The monster bellowed in agony, thrashing wildly, its coils churning the ocean into chaos. The raft spun like a leaf in a hurricane, men clinging for dear life as debris scattered into the waves. At last, wounded, the beast sank back into the abyss with a roar that seemed to shake the bones of the world. The storm, as if spent, began to ease, leaving the sailors drenched, shivering, and broken, but alive. Sinbad raised his gaze to the fading storm clouds. "We have survived giants and the serpent of the deep. But what else?" At dawn, the sea grew strangely calm. The survivors clung to the remains of their shattered raft, carried by a gentle current toward a distant strip of land. As the mists lifted, the island revealed itself, lush and shimmering, as though touched by enchantment. Trees glowed with emerald leaves, their branches heavy with fruit of colors unseen in any marketplace of Baghdad. Rivers glistened like liquid silver, winding through meadows filled with flowers that hummed softly in the morning air. The men staggered ashore, their bodies weary, but their hearts briefly lifted by the island's beauty. Sinbad pressed his palm against the earth and whispered, "May this ground be kinder than the sea." Yet the island was not what it seemed. As they ventured deeper inland, the air grew heavy, filled with whispers carried on an unseen wind. The voices were soft at first, like echoes of forgotten prayers. Then they grew clearer, calling each man by name. One sailor froze, eyes wide, and murmured, "My mother. I hear her. She calls for me." Before Sinbad could stop him, the man broke away, vanishing into the forest. His cries faded, leaving only silence. The others trembled, clutching each other in fear. The trees themselves seemed to shift when no one was watching. Parts twisted back upon themselves, rivers forked into places that had not been there a moment before. Even the sun seemed uncertain, caught in a haze that bent the very light. Sinbad gathered the men. "Do not trust your eyes, nor the voices that call to you. This island is a snare. We must keep together, or it will devour us one by one." But the island was patient. That night, as they huddled beneath the glowing trees, shadows crept around them, forming shapes of loved ones long lost. A father, a child, a beloved wife, each illusion crafted to break their will. The whispers grew sweeter, more urgent. "Come with me. Here you will find peace. Here you will never hunger again." The sailors shuddered, torn between the phantoms and their own fear. Only Sinbad stood firm, though even he felt the weight of temptation pressing on his soul. For in the heart of the island, something unseen watched them, waiting for the moment their courage would falter. The next morning, the survivors stumbled upon a structure that seemed impossible, even in their wildest imaginations. Rising from the jungle like a jewel, the temple of glass gleamed under the sun, every surface reflecting the vibrant greenery and shimmering sky. It was vast, its walls made entirely of crystal-clear panels, so perfectly polished that the reflection of the forest appeared to move as though alive. Sinbad approached cautiously, feeling both awe and unease. The temple exuded a power that pressed on his chest, as if the very air was thick with centuries of hidden knowledge. "Stay close," he warned the men. "This place is not idle. It holds secrets and tests." Inside, the temple was unlike anything they had seen. Floors were smooth as water, and light bent strangely, illuminating chambers that seemed larger than the space outside. At the center, a figure awaited, tall, draped in silks that shimmered like liquid silver, eyes deep pools of ageless wisdom. "I am the keeper," the figure said, voice echoing softly, yet it seemed to penetrate every corner of the mind. You have survived giants, serpents, and illusions of the heart. Only now may you claim what you seek, but first, you must answer truth. The men looked at one another, trembling. Sinbad stepped forward. What truth do you ask? The keeper extended a hand, and in its palm appeared a vision. Every voyage Sinbad had undertaken, every danger faced, every choice made. Tell me, said the keeper. What drives a man to sail beyond the world's end? Is it gold? Glory? Or is it the yearning to know the unknown? Sinbad's chest tightened. Memories of storms, monstrous beasts, and islands of illusions surged through him. He thought of the men who had fallen, the friends lost, the countless nights praying for survival. It is the heart, he said at last. It is the heart that seeks, the heart that dares, the heart that refuses to surrender. And it is the heart that finds the greatest treasure, even if it lies beyond fear itself. The keeper nodded. A soft glow filled the chamber. Doors opened to hidden halls, and the temple revealed treasures of knowledge, wisdom, and riches beyond imagining. Sinbad understood. Some treasures are gold, some are truths, and some are courage forged in the fires of the impossible. The journey was nearing its end, but Sinbad knew the final trials still awaited beyond the temple walls. Beyond the temple of glass, the island revealed a river that gleamed like molten silver under the midday sun. Its waters flowed with an unnatural shimmer, winding through cliffs carved by ancient hands. Sinbad and the survivors approached cautiously, sensing the magic that lingered in the air. This river is no ordinary current, as Sinbad warned. It may carry us, or it may lead us to ruin. The men watched as the water rippled without wind, reflecting visions of distant lands, cities, and treasures. Some glimpsed home, others saw death and despair. A young sailor recoiled, nearly falling into the silver flow, mesmerized by illusions that danced upon the surface. Sinbad examined the river's edge and discovered a hidden passage, a narrow tunnel beneath a waterfall of silver light. The water cascaded down in a sheet, yet behind it, a dark corridor yawned. This must be our way forward, he said, guiding the men. Bravery, not greed, will see us through. They slipped through the tunnel one by one. The walls glittered with veins of precious stones, casting rainbow sparks upon their faces. Strange carvings hinted at a civilization long lost, their meaning obscured by centuries of silence. The sound of water echoed, mingling with whispers that seemed to speak in forgotten tongues. Halfway through, the tunnel narrowed, forcing them to squeeze through. Sinbad's heart pounded, for he knew that one wrong step could send them tumbling into hidden chasms. At the end, the passage opened into a cavern where the silver river pooled into a calm lake. Floating upon it was small, ornate rafts, as if placed there by unseen hands. Fortune favors the daring, as Sinbad murmured. And we have dared enough to reach this point. He led the men onto the rafts, setting a course along the shimmering lake, unaware that the island's greatest secret, and the final test of their courage, waited just beyond the next bend. The rafts glided silently across the silver lake, the water so calm it mirrored the sky above. Yet Sinbad's instincts whispered caution. The island had tested them at every turn, and he knew the final trial would not be gentle. Soon, a shadow emerged from the mist, a massive creature rising from the lake itself. Its scales glimmered like polished obsidian, eyes like molten gold burning with ancient intelligence. Tentacles as thick as ship masts lashed the water, sending waves rippling across the lake. "The Guardian," he whispered one sailor, his voice trembling. "It protects the treasure." Sinbad gripped his spear tightly, feeling the familiar rush of fear and determination. "We have come too far to turn back now. Prepare yourselves." The creature attacked with sudden force. Tentacles smashed the rafts, splintering wood and tossing men into the shimmering water. Sinbad dove, avoiding the deadly strikes, and plunged his spear into one of the creature's eyes. The beast roared, thrashing wildly, but Sinbad knew brute force alone would not suffice. Observing its patterns, he directed the survivors to move in unison, dodging and striking with precision. The Guardian's thrashing grew slower as the men exploited every weakness Sinbad could find. Hours passed, each second a test of endurance and courage, until finally, with one coordinated push, the creature was driven back into the depths of the lake. Silence fell. The water calmed, the silver glow returned, and the lake seemed to bow in acknowledgement of their victory. Sinbad climbed onto the shore, chest heaving, eyes scanning the cavern ahead. There, bathed in golden light, lay the final treasure, chests of jewels, gold, and artifacts beyond imagination. But more importantly, knowledge and secrets of the world, hidden away for centuries, waited for those brave enough to claim them. Sinbad smiled, knowing that every danger, every storm, every monstrous foe had been worth it. Sinbad approached the glittering treasure with awe and reverence. Chests overflowed with gold coins, gemstones that sparkled like captured stars, and artifacts carved from ivory and rare woods. But it wasn't just wealth that called to him. Ancient scrolls, maps of lost lands, and instruments of knowledge promised discoveries beyond imagination. He carefully divided the treasure among the survivors, ensuring that each man received a portion for their courage and endurance. The sailors, exhausted yet exhilarated, marveled at the fortune that had survived the storms, giants, and guardians of the deep. Sinbad addressed them. "We have faced the impossible, yet we endure. Take this reward as proof that bravery, unity, and cunning can overcome even the darkest trials." With the treasure secured, Sinbad led the men back to the rafts. The island's illusions had faded with the defeat of the Guardian, leaving only the serene beauty of untouched nature. The silver river carried them onward, guiding their path toward open waters. As they emerged into the open sea, the wind filled their sails, a gentle current aiding their journey. Sinbad looked to the horizon, the morning sun casting gold across the waves. In his heart, he felt the familiar thrill of the unknown. The sea, vast and eternal, still whispered its call. The voyage home was triumphant but reflective. Each man recounted the trials they had faced, the lessons they had learned, and the courage that had carried them through. Sinbad, standing at the prow, understood that no treasure could compare to the experience, the knowledge, and the bonds forged through shared peril. By the time Baghdad's shores appeared, glittering in the afternoon sun, Sinbad knew this voyage would be remembered not just for its riches, but for the stories of bravery, cunning, and the relentless pursuit of the unknown. He had returned a hero, wiser, wealthier, and forever changed by the seventh voyage of the sea. Back in Baghdad, the city erupted in jubilation. Word of Sinbad's miraculous return spread quickly, drawing crowds to the harbor. Merchants, nobles, and common folk alike came to witness the hero who had braved storms, giants, and the guardians of mysterious islands. The treasures he brought were astonishing, but it was the tales of courage and survival that captured the hearts of all. In the Grand Palace, the Caliph himself received Sinbad. With a mixture of awe and relief, he praised the sailor's bravery and wisdom. Chests of gold were presented, gems placed in ornate boxes, and exotic artifacts displayed for all to see. Yet Sinbad's eyes lingered on the men who had survived with him, his crew, each of whom had risked everything and proven their loyalty and courage. That evening, a great feast was held. Stories of the seventh voyage were recounted with dramatic flair: the storm that threatened to swallow them whole, the giants that devoured the unwary, the serpent of the deep, and the illusions of the mystical island. Each tale left the audience gasping, their imaginations ignited by the vivid dangers and miraculous escapes. Sinbad spoke to the crowd, his voice steady and commanding. Adventure is not only for the brave of heart. It is for those who dare to face the unknown, who risk despair for the chance to discover the wonders hidden beyond fear. Treasure is not only gold, it is wisdom, courage, and experience. Those who seek it must endure trials, and in doing so, they become more than men, they become legends. As the night wore on, lanterns lit the city, reflecting in the canals and rivers. Children imagined themselves as sailors, chasing horizons beyond the known world. Merchants whispered of new voyages, inspired by Sinbad's exploits. And in the quiet moments, Sinbad reflected on the seventh voyage, knowing the sea still awaited, endless and full of mysteries. For every end is merely a pause, a breath before the next adventure begins. The morning after the grand celebration, Sinbad stood at the edge of the harbour, gazing out at the endless stretch of sea. The sunlight danced upon the waves, and a gentle breeze carried the salt and promise of new horizons. Though the seventh voyage was over, its lessons remained etched in his heart. He thought of the giants, the serpents, and the illusions that attested not only his strength but his mind and soul. Every trial had demanded patience, courage, and cunning, traits that could not be bought with gold or bestowed by rank. Sinbad understood that survival was only half the story. The other half lay in the wisdom gained from the ordeal. Turning to his crew, he spoke softly, yet every word resonated with truth. We have faced what few dare to imagine. Remember this: bravery is measured not by the absence of fear, but by the will to act despite it. Loyalty, courage, and knowledge are the greatest treasures a man can carry. Keep these, and no storm or monster can defeat you. The sailors nodded, their faces reflecting both exhaustion and pride. The memory of the Silver River, the Temple of Glass, and the Guardian's lair lingered like vivid dreams, terrifying, yet unforgettable. They had survived the impossible and returned wiser, stronger, and united. Sinbad raised his eyes to the horizon, feeling the sea's call once again. Though this voyage had ended, the world still brimmed with mysteries, islands uncharted, and treasures untold. The heart of a sailor, he realized, never truly rests. And with that understanding, Sinbad smiled. The seventh voyage had ended, but the spirit of adventure would sail with him forever, guiding him toward horizons yet unseen. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of gold and crimson, Sinbad gathered his crew one final time. The seventh voyage had tested them beyond imagination, yet here they stood, alive, victorious, and forever changed. The harbour of Baghdad shimmered in the fading light, lanterns reflecting on the rippling waters like scattered stars. Sinbad's voice carried over the gentle murmur of the waves. We have sailed through storms, battled giants, faced serpents, and outwitted illusions. We have found treasures of gold, wisdom, and courage. But remember this, the sea always holds more. Every voyage is a beginning, and every end is but a pause before the next adventure. The sailors cheered, their hearts swelling with pride and relief. They had shared in Sinbad's triumphs and trials, and in that shared experience, they had become more than companions. They were a brotherhood bound by courage and loyalty. Sinbad stepped to the prow of the ship, gazing at the horizon where the sky met the sea. He felt the familiar tug of curiosity, the whisper of the waves urging him toward new worlds and untold stories. With a final glance at the city behind them, he turned to his men. "Rest now, my friends, but keep your hearts ready. The sea is vast, and our next adventure waits beyond the horizon. We are sailors, explorers, dreamers, and our tales are far from finished." As night fell and stars ignited the heavens, the ship set sail once more. The seventh voyage of Sinbad was complete, but the spirit of adventure, daring, fearless, and eternal, would guide them always. For Sinbad knew, as long as the sea calls, no sailor's story ever truly ends.